Hi, everyone. Welcome to this week's Zebra Report. Today, I want to talk about data. Oh gosh, what a boring subject, right? Well, I'm going to tell you that when you use data in research and you take that research and you find opportunities with it, it brings the data and research to life. So I want to talk a little bit about that today because having information is one of the most powerful tools that we can have in real estate. This past year, we have seen more changes in our industry and in the housing industry specifically to do with building and developing and zoning and rezoning and density and middle housing and ADUs. I mean, the list goes on, but we're here. We now have House bills that have been passed, they're being adopted. You need to understand what those are. You also need to understand how are interest rates affecting that? How are interest rates affecting the resale market? How are they affecting new construction? How are they going to affect middle housing? All of those things are really powerful bits of information that you need to know. Having the data and the research is your secret weapon. So I've always used data and research as my secret weapon to find opportunities. And whenever I'm able to take research and bring it to life, and to be able to share that with my clients so that they can be at the forefront of that, that's what gets me excited. I want to give another example where data has been really, really powerful. About, I'm going to say 5 or 6 years ago, I was at Encore teaching my Encore group, and I had been looking at data, and I had realized that all of a sudden, the there'd been no pendings in the 2 million and above market. None. It just was like, and there had been no pendings because there had been a glut of inventory, things were overpriced. And as I started watching the market there, I noticed something very interesting. And I noticed that all of a sudden, for whatever reason, there was an uptick in pending numbers. And at that time, the uptick was actually caused by some stuff that was going on in the stock market. People were making a bunch of money. And when people make a bunch of money on the stock market, they're not afraid to buy those $2 million properties. Now, that was back then. That same property today is 4 million. Okay. So this was this 2 million plus market. And I went to Encore and I said to people in Encore, for any of you that have listings right now in Mercer Island that are 2 million above, that have been sitting, and some of you have because I've looked up the data. I had a number of people in that class that had these listings that have been on 60 days, 80 days, 90 days. And I said to them, I'm going to do a little test with you. I believe that those listings are going to pend before I see you again at Encore. And I said, the market right now is absolutely, we're seeing those pending numbers uptick. I had a couple people in the class say, no, the market in that price range is dead. I've been doing open houses, nobody's coming. And I said, I understand that. But there's been a change in the last week and you're going to see it. By the time we got to the next Encore meeting, every one of them said, how did you know that? How did you know that? And I knew it because I'd been tracking these numbers on a weekly basis. And I could just see this moment in time where the lines crossed, right? Where we had a lot of inventory, few pendings, and all of a sudden inventory is taking a dive, pending numbers are going, and the lines crossed. So again, information is powerful, is so powerful. Tracking the data for me allowed me to find an opportunity and to give my agents that feeling that, okay, I'm not going to push for the price reduction right now. I'm going to hold steady. So, again, this year I'm doing my state of the market. State of the market this year is probably, I would say, the most robust year we've ever had because now not only are we talking about new construction and resale, now I've got to talk about the house bills that have been adopted in Washington State. We have to talk about ADUs. We have to talk about middle housing. We have to talk about affordability. We have to talk about all these issues. They're huge issues out there. And then how are we going to navigate, in addition to that, all the comprehensive plan changes that are about to hit us? And those comp plan changes will be adopting in your area very soon. So some of you might be thinking, why do I care about a comprehensive plan? Isn't that like big picture? Like, that's not me. That's done at the government. My voice is not going to change anything. Well, why it's so important is because when you understand how your local government is coming to their decision making around that comprehensive plan, you absolutely can have a voice. The other reason why it's so important is that if you know that the comprehensive plan is leaning towards one decision over the other, it provides an opportunity for you. And I'm going to give you a classic example. A number of years ago, I was going to city council meetings, and at the city council meeting, they were talking about doing an annexation into a particular area. I actually happened to work with a gentleman that owned a large piece of property in that area. He'd come to me years before and he'd said, I'd love to develop this one day, but the city is never going to annex this in. So here I am getting involved in these meetings, and I found out that they were considering it. What it did for me is it gave me an opportunity to call him and say, Jack, I just was at a city council meeting and they talked about they may need to annex this in because they're so short on housing. And I know you've been talking about selling, and all I'm going to tell you is I don't think you should sell until they answer that question, because that's going to make a difference between, that's going to make a big difference between what you sell it for if you sold it now versus if it's annexed in and the density changes on your property. So that was an opportunity for me to provide great information to a client. Now, what happened for him is they actually delayed that annexation. So I'm then able to go back and say, okay, this is now being delayed, but it's coming up again in the comprehensive plan discussions. Now, I am very confident that in that situation, that person really felt like I was out working for them and helping them. And I know that there's nobody else out there calling them about this. So utilize this information with clients that this may mean something to them. You may have sellers that are in areas where zoning changes, the comprehensive plan changes the density in their area. It's critical to give you that advantage over every other agent. So information is power. It's very, very powerful. Now is the time to get involved. So I also tell people, get involved. If you don't know what a comp plan is, find out. If you're not sure how the comp plan is coming together, find that out. If you don't know how that's going to affect you, be a part of it, have a voice for that. Many areas right now are just putting together comp plan meetings to get input from people like you, real estate professionals, homeowners, builders, developers. Make sure that you have a voice and you step in. So I highly encourage you to get involved. I also highly encourage you to please join me January 24th. State of the Market is going to be 9 to noon. So excited about it. It is literally going to be 3 hours packed full of incredible information that I know when you walk away from it, you're going to feel way more prepared for what's ahead for 2024 and 2025. 2024 through 2026 are pivotal years, and you need to be at the forefront of that. So come join me, and don't be afraid of data. Make it your friend and learn to use it as your secret weapon and an opportunity. Okay, guys, take care.